Hi, everyone. This is Marcus Fairs again, founder and editor-in-chief of Dezeen, broadcasting from London and going back to Miami for the second time today. This time we're speaking to Jillian Choi, who's Director of Global Exhibitions at Design Miami. Hi, Jillian.
Hello, Marcus. Hello, everyone. Nice to see you.
And first of all, I have to ask you, where are you? There looks like some Murakami's hanging in some
Yes.
orange trees or something behind you.
So we're actually at the rooftop garden of the Moore building where the show is opening as we speak. And this is a collaboration between Takashi Murakami and Perrier, the sparkling water brand. And I wish you could all be here, but it's a very playful Murakami garden.
Well, don't rub it in. We all wish we could be there as well. But this is the next best thing. So we were talking to Craig Robbins earlier. Of course, Craig is the founder both of the Design District in Miami, where the fair takes place, and the founder of Design Miami, the show itself. And this talk and talk with Craig is part of a series that Dezeen is doing called Miami Design Talks. We have 4 talks altogether. This is the second one, and we have another one tomorrow and then another one on Sunday. But first of all, Jillian, tell us a little bit about yourself. What's your role at Design Miami?
Thank you, Marcus. So I am the director of global exhibitions here at Design Miami. I actually just started this year in January 2020. And what I do is I work with all of the galleries, all the design studios for Curio program, and really fill the show. And so for this particular show, I worked very closely with Eric Chen, the curatorial director, to put together Design Miami Podium, which is the exhibition that we'll be discussing.
And as you said, you're on top of the Moore building, and the Moore building is a kind of historic furniture showroom in the design district, which once again is the ground zero for Design Miami. The fair started off there 15 years ago, didn't it? And now it's back. So tell us the context, tell us what's happening in the building there this year and why you've moved back to the design district.
Yeah, absolutely. It is very much a coming home for us. This is where the fair started 15 years ago, as Marcus said. This year with the Moore building, I mean, it's placed in the design district, which I'm sure you heard from Craig Robbins. So this is really our backyard. And in the Moore building, there's 4 floors of exhibition space. This year, the first floor is partner exhibitions, and we have some great partners this year as Perrier Jouet, Awake New York with a special t-shirt collaboration with Shabalala Self, the artist, and USM, a few great people. And then we have the podium exhibition, the Americas exhibition that begins on this floor. And the exhibition, I don't know if Marcus, I should just give a brief about the exhibition right now, but
Yeah, well, sure. Why don't you just launch straight into the presentation, because then we
okay.
can see some pictures at the same time.
Yes. Okay, fabulous. So I will share screen, but just to start, so Eric Chen curated this exhibition. It's called Americas with the S in parentheses. And as the name would suggest, it really is about the ideas of America, the many viewpoints and the multitudes of experience within America. While there is American design included, it's not necessarily about American design, but really the ideals of what America means to different people. So I will share screen now to run through. Ooh,
Yep, I can see it. I saw a dinosaur.
fabulous. Okay. So actually, this is quite remarkable, but Jason Jack Gallery and with Granada Gallery presented us with this. So for this exhibition, we did a call to apply to all of our galleries and our general, all of the design studios, etc. So this was presented to us. We have 2 dinosaur skeletons, 150 million years old, a Camptosaurus and an Allosaurus. And this particular one is the Camptosaurus, and it's the most complete Camptosaurus that has been found, and it's the only complete Camptosaurus skull that's ever been found. So it's quite remarkable. And the inclusion of this was really, we weren't looking for dinosaurs. However, really, and what Eric says is, you know, this land existed long before we were here. And so why not include these incredible prehistoric creatures that were actually found in Wyoming? This is also the Hopi Kachina, these Kachina jaws from the Native American Hopi tribe. And these are mnemonic, they were given to children, and really they're meant, sorry. So they are found in northeastern Arizona, and we have 3 of these pieces from Old Hope Gallery, and they're quite, they're very charming. They're quite small. This is a shaker from John Keith Russell, who is a dealer that deals specifically in shaker furniture. This is one of the most complete boxes. So these boxes were used, they were made by the shakers to really to sell to others as they came visit, and you can put things inside. They were found all throughout the shaker homes. This was exhibited at the Whitney Museum in the Shaker Design exhibition. So this is quite, this is one of the most beautiful collection of shaker boxes that we have. This piece, so we have also in the contemporary department, what I find really the most, this artist, Michelle Erickson, is new to us. And so she works in ceramics, and this is, as you can see, it's called The Party's Over, and it's based on a satirical drawing by Paul Revere. And as you can see some contemporary American politicians in the mix, and you can interpret it as you will. This, of course, we included in the exhibition some of the greats of American design. This is Wendell Castle, In God We Trust. It's just a beautiful piece from Friedman Benda and an earlier work. Again, this is another, I think, one of the most exciting parts of the show within the galleries and the podium exhibition as well are the ceramics. So this is an artist, Roberto Lugo, presented by Wexler Gallery. And as you can see, he takes really traditional ceramic traditions, but applies contemporary ideas. On the left, you have AOC, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, the American Congresswoman. And on the right, you see Kamala Harris, the new Vice President-elect. So these are quite remarkable. We have several of these in the show. Ruth Bader Ginsburg here. And then actually this photograph is by Isaac Scott, who was studied with Roberto Lugo, whom we just saw before. And within the last several months, he has been photographing the Black Lives Matter protests within Philadelphia, where he's from. And then he has created these ceramic pieces inspired by those photographs. So we have the photographs on site as well as these ceramics. And you can see kind of the lineage between Roberto Lugo and Isaac Scott here. This is an amazing artist, designer based in LA, and her name is Tanya Aguaniga. And she does all of this textile work in her studio in LA. Sorry for the background noise. And it's all about Latin American experience, and they're really beautiful pieces. Oh, I don't have another one. This you may know, Gaetano Pesce. It's hard to see the scale here, but this is the largest vase he's ever created. This is made of resin. This is even taller than me. It's probably it's probably around 6 feet tall, probably higher. So this is presented by Salon 94, and really a spectacular piece. This is one of my favorites within the show, Malcolm Mobatu Smith. He is based in Bloomington, Indiana. He is inspired again by traditional ceramic techniques, whether it's Ming or other traditions, but his forms are inspired by jazz, hip hop, really contemporary, whether it's music or arts. And I think the forms are just quite beautiful. And we have several of these in the show as well. This piece, it's hard to, again, see from a photograph, but this is by Ini Archibong. He's a Nigerian-American designer based in Switzerland. And this is actually a calendar. So there are 31 stones there. This is also almost 800 pounds. And when we first install it, it went straight through the pedestal. So it's quite an impressive piece. These are it's meant to create ceremony in everyday life. So you can remove one of these stones each day and it acts as a calendar. And this actually, we had a jury that met the other day choosing the best in show, the top 10 historic and top 10 contemporary, and this was included amongst the contemporary. We, of course, have the American stalwarts, Nakashima. This particular Nakashima piece is a very rare prototype. Both of these are by Modern Gallery, who specializes in this material. This is a beautiful piece, really massive in size as well, so it's hard to tell from the photograph, but by J.B. Blanc, and it's the Wishbone. And it's actually made from, it's heartwood, so it's made from the heart of a redwood tree. So the material itself is literally one of a kind, and the piece is quite beautiful, and you're meant to actually walk through it. It's meant to be a portal. And I think that's the end of it. There's actually so much more to share, but we have limited time here, but I hope you can experience everything online.
That was a great teaser. Do you want to unshare your screen now, Jillian? So yeah, so those are some of the 140 odd pieces that are in the Americas exhibition. Does the exhibition take a curatorial stance, or is it just to give an idea of the diversity and the history of design in the Americas?
Sorry, can you say that again, Marcus?
So the show gives an overview of the contemporary design scene in the Americas and also the history of design in the Americas. But does it take any particular stance? Does it have any kind of thematic narrative to it? Or is it just look at all this amazing stuff from this continent?
I think it's more meant to pose a question and to, I wouldn't say it takes a stance, although you may be able to infer from the material. We wanted to show a breadth of the kind of work that's representative of American design, as well as, posing some questions. And
all of the pieces all of the pieces are for sale. Is that right? Including the dinosaurs. So somebody could walk home, well, maybe not literally walk home, but somebody could be the owner of a dinosaur skeleton by the end of the show.
Absolutely. Everything is for sale on site and also online. And it's funny because Jason Jacques, who presented those dinosaurs, said these are living room dinosaurs, because they're actually the Allosaurus is a juvenile dinosaur. They're quite petite for dinosaurs.
Give us an idea of the scale then, because looking at the picture, I imagined it was the size of a bus or something. Is it maybe it's just this big?
No. It's actually, I want to say they're like maybe lengthwise, maybe 7 feet long. So I know it's so hard to see the scale. We need to show pictures with somebody next to it, but like the faces are like this big. They're quite cute.
So this year, unlike previous years, you've taken the pieces from the galleries and you're selling them on their behalf beneath this concept called Podium. So why did you decide to go for this different format? Is that simply because of the pandemic and it's harder for galleries to turn up and exhibit their wares?
It's actually something that we've been exploring for a while, and it just happened to work out that this year with the pandemic, it was kind of the perfect time to debut it. It is also a model that we would like to replicate in other cities. And so
in a way, the fair is acting as a gallery for the galleries.
I guess you could call it that, but we are I would say we're the Sherpas of this material to bring them to the peak. But no, it's been a really interesting process, and I think all of the galleries, especially the ones who weren't able to travel, were really happy to participate in some way.
So tell us a little bit about how this exhibition is curated throughout the Moore building. Does it occupy, which floors does it occupy, and how do visitors travel through it, especially given the restrictions right now?
Yeah. So the way that the show is set up in general is that we have one direction of traffic, so that when you enter, it is quite a guided experience. Once you walk into the podium exhibition on the ground floor, which is, if you're not familiar with the Moore building, there is a Zaha Hadid installation above. So the building itself is quite, the atrium, within the atrium of the building where the exhibition starts, it's quite impressive. So we start with the dinosaurs, actually. So it kind of goes from prehistoric to, the first floor is mostly historic, I want to say, with contemporary pieces dispersed throughout. And the first floor actually ends with the JB Blanc. And then when you go up to the second floor, there's more contemporary work there. And it's a lot of ceramics and work from multiple furniture pieces. And then the third floor is, we have an Adam Silverman exhibition that is not for sale, actually, from Friedman Benda, but it is exploring. It's called Common Grounds, where he collected, with the help of volunteers, dirt or soil from all 50 states, plus some of the territories. And it's kind of an in-process exhibition. It's quite amazing, which I'm saying about everything because I'm a bit biased. And then we have the fourth floor, which is the end of the show, and this is where we have many of the ceramic pieces, and it ends actually with a Haas Brothers rug of a woolly mammoth and a Katie Stout piece. So it kind of, we take, and in between, dispersed in between, our gallery presentations and curios.
So it's not all the Americas show. There's other things mixed in with that within the building.
Yes.
And when you were talking us through the pieces, obviously the Shaker movement is internationally known, and some of the more contemporary designers you mentioned, Wendell Castle, for example. But do you think, you also showed that figurine from the Hopi tribe, do you think that kind of indigenous tradition has been overlooked somewhat in the history of the Americas, and in terms of design? Is that widely considered to be great art or great design?
I mean, I think absolutely. It's, I think when we think about design, there's very much when you think about the history of design, it doesn't always include indigenous works, and mostly not. So we really wanted to show the full spectrum of what design could be. And we have a beautiful Navajo blanket as well. And these are all from Shiprock, which is based out of Arizona, I want to say.
And you mentioned that people can obviously come to the district to look at the pieces and buy the pieces, but you'll also be selling them online. Do you have any sense of what percentage of the sales will be done in the real world compared to the virtual world? Are you prepared for it to be kind of almost like a new model of running a show where you could not even come and pick up a piece?
Yeah, I have no idea what will happen, but what I do know is that most people experiencing Design Miami will experience it virtually. And whether it's through interviews like this or through the digital portion of our fair. And it is, I want to say it's the first time we've done it for sure. And I don't know, it's the first hybrid show where we are live in real life, and every single thing on the show floor is also available for purchase online. So it's quite exciting. And I mean, I'm excited to see what the balance is, actually.
Tell us a little bit about yourself. You said you joined Design Miami earlier this year. What part of the year did you join? And did you have any idea what the year was going to have in store for you?
Absolutely not. I actually joined January. It was actually right after Martin Luther King Jr. Day, which is late January. And before that, I was actually living in Hong Kong. So I had left Hong Kong and I was home for the holidays. And then this job offer came about and I said yes. And so I had no idea. I mean, I still have things in storage in Hong Kong that I thought I would be getting in March, which that Art Basel Hong Kong was canceled as well. And it's been such an interesting year as far as what it means to be a fair business in this time. And, just even personally, everything that I thought was going to happen, Basel was canceled. And then we really shifted focus to creating this digital platform, which we put together in 3 months, really, as a stopgap solution for all of the galleries that are, some of our European galleries in the beginning of this were closed and they did not know when they would open again. And it was a really hard time I know for everybody, but for the industry as well.
And at what point did you decide, yes, we're going to do a physical show? Was that quite recently, or did you always hope that you'd be able to do it, but weren't sure? Tell us about the timing of your decision-making process.
Yes. So over the summer, we were it was always the possibility that it would not be possible. And then I think it was really late summer, we were discussing, or I guess early summer, but we were discussing the possibility of doing a show, but at a reduced scale. And of course, the more building came into play, because generally we do a huge tent right outside of the convention center. And so we decided kind of late summer that we were going to move forward with the show, of course, with the caveat that at any point anything could happen, and safety was always the most important for us. So I think what we have now is the safest fair you can have, in an in-person way. So.
It's going to be a little bit different from the first time I went to Design Miami, which was 14 years ago. And I was inside the mall building having a little preview just before opening time, and there's these double doors there, and there were literally hundreds of people sort of pushing against the door, desperate to get in. And actually then they started to bang on the door. It was like teenagers trying to get into a rock concert. It was really like I'd never seen in the whole world of design, where the shows are usually quite sedate and everyone's well behaved. It was like crazy time.
Yeah, and this year we have all timed entries, so every single person, even the highest of the VIPs, have to register for a time to come. And this way, we know who's in the building, we know how many people, and we can regulate the amount of people in the building.
And would you be prepared to predict in any way what the future of fairs is? I mean, I've spoken to people in the art world who've said that actually valuable art, is quite easy to sell online. People, if they know the artists and you've got a good experience on your website, people are happy to drop, significant amounts of money to pick up an artwork and then just wait for it to be shipped to them. Do you think the design world could move that way as well? Do you think there will be a need for physical events in the future?
Well, I am still a believer, and though I think the design world could be the same way with more technology, whether it's AR or design is, I find you still need to touch, feel, and experience design. But I do think there are ways, which we are looking into, to create that same experience digitally. But I don't think that the physical will ever be replaced, especially for design, because, that's what, especially with collectible design, these objects are meant to be touched, used. The difference between art and design is you can sit in a chair, you can sit in that chair all day long, or there's very few people that are keeping things, in a warehouse backed away. People are living with these objects.
So tell us a little bit about yourself then, Jillian. You said you were in Hong Kong before you took on this job, but what's your background? What have you done in the past?
Yeah,
What's brought you here?
yeah. So I always say I accidentally ended up in design, where I studied art history and then at NYU, and then my first job out of college, or during actually, was with Christina Grajales, the design gallery in New York. And that was really my design education. And then from there, I ended up kind of working in art PR, and I ended up, I don't know how many years ago, but as the director of collective design, which was a design fair, collectible design fair in New York. And so I was the director for 5 shows there, and it was once a year. I ended up going to Hong Kong to do just consulting work, where I was working with designers, galleries, and kind of assisting them navigate the Asian market, if you will, because so that was, I mean, I loved being in Hong Kong and Shanghai and Seoul. That was amazing. And I actually met Jen Roberts, the CEO of Design Miami, in Shanghai last year. And we were talking about kind of the different activations that Design Miami was doing. And so it just happened, really. It was really unexpectedly that this job opportunity came about, where Jen Roberts called me and she said, well, how would you feel about an opportunity in Miami? And I said, I don't know about Miami, but I'm willing to hear more about the opportunity. And then I ended up here. So in many ways, it's quite familiar because I'm working with a lot of the same galleries. But of course, Design Miami is, even just the way this show came together, which we started from scratch with all of this. It's just an amazing team. The team has worked so hard to really put a lot of this together quite last minute, and really I'm very grateful to be a part of this team and to be a part of this first show, because I do feel like we're one of the first to do it in this post-COVID world, if you will.
Well, there hasn't been much happening in Europe, that's for sure, for the last couple of months. It was looking like the events were all coming back, but they've all had to shut themselves down again. And of course, this time of year in Miami is usually like absolute beach party, isn't it? It's incredible because the art fair is going on across on Miami Beach, and then the design district and all the happenings and stuff like that. But what is Miami like this year? Is there still a buzz in the city, or is it kind of pretty quiet?
It's pretty quiet. I mean, there's no parties, dinners, all of that we're used to running around, which for me personally, it's a welcome change, because so it's quite quiet. It feels very civilized. And even having it in the design district in the Moore building, if you have to wait for your time slot to go in, you can walk around. There's few art galleries doing exhibitions here. You can walk around the district and have lunch. It just feels really civilized. So I feel buzzy because I'm opening a show, but it doesn't feel the same at all. But I think this is what we can bear at this point this year. It's like just enough.
Well, I was in Milan in Italy in September. I went over to see some friends actually, but it turned out that lots of the showrooms and lots of the design firms that weren't able to do anything in April, where they would usually have the big Milan Design Week, had opened up and were doing little shows with small numbers of people, invitation only and timed entrances and things like that. And actually, it was great. It was really, you're really able to enjoy the city and have proper conversations with people, rather than being in this crush and having to get to one place and then immediately rush off somewhere else. It was quite civilized. So maybe we'll all come through this and realize we don't need all of that noise and all of that mess and all of that pressure.
Yeah, I kind of hope so, because I think sometimes with these weeks, whether it's, Art Basel, Design Miami, or Salone, we're just running to the next thing, and you never seem to be at the right place at the right time. Um, so this feels like, just like psychologically very, like, to be present in one place and to really enjoy and to be able to absorb information. I think that's a gift.
Well, that's a really good point, actually, because the worst thing about going to these things is fear of missing out, isn't it? FOMO, like you missed the cool party, or you got stuck in a traffic jam, so you missed the opening, or the rock star who was there, or whatever. Now, no one's missing anything because there's nothing going on, or you can go to everything in
Yeah.
a smaller scale.
And that's why our show is actually 10 days long this year, because there's no rush. Even if you don't get in the first day, you can buy online if you need to be the first person. And so really it's meant to, and because we only have, I think our capacity is 205 people in this building, and that includes security, staff. So really maybe 130 people at one time, with 4 floors. So it's meant to be a really easy, relaxed experience.
Well, I very much hope it is. And I know that you're probably not feeling that relaxed right now because you're opening like literally right after this interview. So I really appreciate you taking the time out to speak to us, and good luck with it. And
Thank you so
I
much,
hope it's a huge
Marcus.
success.
I hope so too. Thank you all for listening. Thank you, Marcus.
Thank you very much. And we'll be back tomorrow at 3 UK time with the next talk as part of this Miami Design Talk series. Thanks so much, Jillian. Good luck.
Bye. Stay.